Well, good morning and welcome to today's 20-minute update, BCF's monthly series of interactive calls to give you an inside look at BCF, our initiatives, and the work we do in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and our entire region. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ralph Serpi with the Baltimore Community Foundation, and with me today is BCF Program Officer Dion Cartwright. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Ralph.
morning. Now, before we get started, I really want to thank our civic leadership donors for their support. It's because of you that BCF can provide resources like the 20-minute update, so thank you so much for joining us. We're also, while we're live on our 20-minute call, we are also live and streaming on our Facebook page. So I'd also like to welcome the folks watching and listening on our live stream on Facebook. If you're listening on live stream Facebook, please remember to share and you can comment below. Well, this morning we are talking about the Youth Leadership for Change grants. It's a new program that's been added to our BCF Neighborhoods Grants portfolio that we are partnering with the Annie E. Casey Foundation. So I'm going to turn it over to Dion and ask Dion, what is this program about and how does it work?
Sure. So the Youth Leadership for Change grant was actually created following the uprising of last year. And Casey Foundation brought together young people and asked them, how can philanthropy better serve them? What could we do to engage young people and their voices? And we heard back from them that they were interested in grants, but they were also interested in additional resources. And so we created this grant program to really support the organizations out there that are investing in youth leaders and providing services to them. And we are partnering with them to identify youth leaders in Baltimore City and Baltimore County that we can invest resources, training, coaching into so that they can develop their youth leadership skills and become our next leaders here in Baltimore.
And how did this idea bubble up? How did it come about?
So, I mean, basically, when Casey convened the young people, we heard from them that they were interested in this. And so I thought, what better way to support these organizations than to have this small grants program? And so we began to partner with Casey to do that.
Well, go back. So I'm going back to that idea. So why did Casey convene the young people?
Oh, so it was in April of 2015 when we had the uprising. The youth were at the forefront. They were the ones who were trying to see change happen. They are the social justice leaders that you are seeing on television, that you are seeing in your communities that are trying to really impact what's happening. And after the death of Freddie Gray, the young people in Baltimore stood up and said, we want a voice. We've had enough and we want to be heard.
So moving out of the realm of formal philanthropy at the Baltimore Community Foundation and the Annie E. Casey Foundation, let's go into neighborhoods. So why are youth voices important in neighborhoods? How are those voices different?
So we have been supporting neighborhoods at the Baltimore Community Foundation for over 20 years now. And one of the things that we've continued to hear from our community leaders is that they have a hard time engaging youth. They don't know how to approach young people, and they don't oftentimes bring them to decision-making tables. And so at the foundation, we've been very intentional about trying to get community leaders to engage their young people and put them in positions of leadership. And so it was just an automatic fit because communities and neighborhoods aren't just about older adults, but they are about the youth there as well. And so we wanted to use this as an opportunity to uplift that.
Okay, so give us an example of some of the things that you invested in through this program this year.
Sure. So we've got some really great programs, and I encourage folks to check out BCF's Facebook page for some really great stories. But just to give a couple of examples, so Casa de Maryland, for example, they are supporting a youth leadership program in Owings Mills High School, where young people of all cultures are coming together to talk about race and talk about social justice and what race means to them, and how to interact with people who are different than them. And it's been an amazing start to this training series that they're doing in Owings Mills High School. And hopefully they'll come back for another grant so that we can support it a second year.
Well, that's great. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dion Cartwright, BCF Program Officer, talk about the Youth Leadership for Change Grants Program. It's a program that BCF is doing in conjunction with and partnership with the Annie E. Casey Foundation. It's really a fascinating outgrowth of the Neighborhood Grants Program that you've been doing for 15 years.
I've been here 15 years,
yeah,
yes.
It's a tremendous asset to Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and the work that you've been doing with us. Let's keep going. What are some of the other grants that maybe the Neighborhood Grants Program maybe wouldn't have made without this push for the Youth Leadership for Change grants?
Yeah, so one of our grantees is called Bike Collective, and that's BYKE, Bike Collective. Really awesome program that serves young people in the Oliver community who are learning how to not only fix their bikes and fix other people's bikes, but also learning about being an entrepreneur and really developing the skills that's needed to be successful as they become adults.
Keep going.
Keep going?
Yeah.
All right. So about that program?
Any program,
Okay.
but I like that one better. You know, we have bikers on staff, and Baltimore's a quirky place, and people love their bikes. People like their alternative modes of transportation. You know, we have to have alternative modes of transportation because we can't get from point A to point B in this town. We can't get crosstown. When we talk about the state of public transportation in the city, we can't go the last mile. Mm-hmm. We can't get from East or West Baltimore to places of employment. Here's an example of youth trying to figure out how they have to get from home to work, home to school. They have to do it themselves.
And I mean, honestly, it was not even just about that, but it was also about young people love bikes in Baltimore. You constantly see, especially in Baltimore City, you see young people on their bikes all the time. And so the director of this program really wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to invest in youth. And so she is also a biker and thought that it would be really great to help these youth learn how to service bikes and in the process create an actual business a business model that they could use to also help other people.
You know, Dion, accessing or applying to foundations can be a pretty daunting experience. Mm-hmm. Forms and deadlines and all this crazy stuff you put in front of people.
Right.
And I understand that process. You want to make sure that there's structure there for an organization. But tell me about the process that you've put in place for this particular grant program.
Yeah, sure. So first off, our neighborhood grants applications for many years have been very user-friendly because we want to welcome folks who don't necessarily have the skills of a major grant writer, but are interested in receiving support and investing in their communities. And so we worked in partnership with Casey Foundation staff to really make sure we eliminated any barriers that would keep people from being able to apply for this grant. And we co-created this grants program where people could, it's a one-page, really like a one-page application where people could easily access our grants and apply. And then we used the volunteer review committee to help us with that process. And so we had reviewers who were community leaders, we had reviewers who are donors, those who, and we had young people. We made sure that there was youth voice represented on the review panel as well, and we made decisions about the grants. We received over 40 applications, and we were able to grant out 16.
And how much went out into the community?
$150,000 in grants went out into the community last year, and we'll do that again this year.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Was it difficult to get out of our own way in terms of the application process to make it, to have a different process here?
I don't think it was difficult. I think the people who were behind it, again, BCF staff and Casey staff, really were already very engaged in community and have been trying to have those barriers reduced for some time now. And so this was just a continuation of that effort.
What are your hopes for this? What are your hopes for the organizations and the youth that are receiving these grants and the work that they're doing?
Yeah.
So let's keep going down this path. And what are your hopes for those youth in Baltimore that receive this funding and have their projects invested in?
My biggest hope is that communities will understand the importance of youth voice, and that funders will understand the importance of investing in the youth. And so, oftentimes, again, we tend to overlook young people unless we want them to do the trash cleanup. So unless we want them to do the things that aren't so pretty. And our young people have a lot of really great ideas. And if you look at what's going on around the country, they really are the ones who are leading social change efforts. And so it's really imperative that we invest in them and their ideas and their leadership skills so that they can be at decision-making tables and changing policies that are happening out there in the country.
We're talking about foundation funding, but in reality, foundation funding is just a small drop in the bucket in American philanthropy. So if we really want to get charitable dollars in the hands of young people to invest in them and invest in the work that they're doing, it's not so much a foundation decision, it's an individual decision. So
Right.
Everyone listening on the phone and everyone watching on Facebook, and if you're watching on Facebook, please like and share this live feed so we can reach as many people in Baltimore and really around the world as possible. By the way, Dion, did you know that last month we had someone watching and commenting from the Middle East?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
With the reach of Hopkins and our education institutions in Baltimore, people from around the world pass through Baltimore, they leave, and when they're on Facebook, they really want to reconnect with the place that really touched them. So we're really happy to do this. But so back to this point of, foundations can make that decision of funding, but each of us as individuals can make a decision to invest in young people and go deeper than we ever thought we could.
Absolutely.
Or make some decisions to have some venture capital in young people, because I think the return is greater, and I think that's what you're finding out now.
Absolutely. I mean, the grants are great, but each of us, especially the older adults, we all should be charged with impacting some young person's life. In some way. For me, I volunteer as a youth basketball coach, and so I'm able to have a hands-on engagement with young people. But there are many opportunities, whether you can do it financially or with your time.
That's wonderful. Hey, let's open up the phone line, shall we?
Let's do it.
This is the fun part where we're going to open up the call for questions. If you dialed into the call today, you can press *6 now to unmute yourself and ask a question. Now, please listen. After you finish asking the question, please press *6 to mute your line again. It's really important. So, *6 unmute your line to ask a question, and then please press *6 again to mute. If you're following our live stream on Facebook, simply ask your question in comments. And I will look through that and ask Dion that question. So let's start with, and if you can tweet a question using the hashtag 20-minute update, 20-minute update, if you're tweeting. So let's go to the phones first. *6, unmute your line to ask a question. Caller number 1. And Dion, while we're waiting for that first caller, there's there's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion around funding for summer youth internships and summer youth jobs. Did any, and that's coming through on both live stream and through the One Baltimore project last year, were any of the grants focused on youth internships or summer jobs?
Yeah, so actually one really cool one in southeast Baltimore through Banner Neighborhoods was called the LIFT program, and it really focused on providing young people with not only entrepreneurial skills, but also an opportunity to actually try out those skills by starting a hot dog stand. And I know that's like, oh my God, whatever. But young people in Banner Neighborhoods, Southeast Baltimore area, are actually running a hot dog stand and learning entrepreneurial skills.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. So we're getting a question on our Facebook feed from the Fashion Umbrella Foundation. So thank you for asking, and please share and like Fashion Umbrella Foundation. Can you go back to the application process again? You mentioned that you have another cycle coming up. Mm-hmm. So just go through briefly what that process is.
Sure. So we have on the website, www.bcf.org is our application form. We actually just had a deadline in August, and so we're in the review process now for year 2 of those grants. But through that process, we do an internal review as well as have a review committee who reviews the grants with us, and we make funding decisions. And then the organizations have a year to utilize their grant funds, as well as go through a series of youth leadership training to support the youth participants in the program.
And what kind of feedback do applicants receive through that process?
Yeah, so we are partnering with the Center for Leadership Innovation, and they are actually going through or providing a 4-part training series that allows for the young people to receive coaching, receive leadership assessment, and build their networks, and have we've had a lot of influential speakers participate in the process. And so we're actually having the first training this Saturday for this current group of grantees, and they'll get an opportunity to begin that assessment process.
That's great. I realize I have
a question.
Hi, thank you.
Pam Wallace from Hamilton, Lauraville, Main Street.
Hi, Pam. How are you?
Sorry?
Hi, Pam.
Hi, how are you? I was curious. We, Hamilton Elementary Middle School and myself wrote a grant for a middle school leadership conference that's coming up on October 12th. And I wondered if we had received the grant, are we eligible to apply for it again next year?
You are eligible to apply again, Pam. And yes, congratulations on receiving your grant. You are one of 16 year 1 grantees through this program. And yes, you are eligible to reapply. So feel free to do so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, it's great to know that there's a great connection. Thank you for calling in, Pam, and that there's a connection between the folks who receive grants from the Community Foundation. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little more about the network of grantees at the Community Foundation? It's not just you get a check. I mean, there's a conversation back and forth here.
Yeah, so again, what we heard from the young people is that the grants were great, but they wanted us to go beyond the grant. And so this is really just an opportunity to help them build their networks individually, but also as an organization. And so we bring them together every other month. Last month it was a breakfast where we just got together on a Saturday and gave them an opportunity to network. And this Saturday we're bringing them together for their first official training where they will be able to really focus on their individual youth leadership skills.
One of the great things about bringing people together for training is that we learn a lot when we bring people together for training.
That's very true.
It comes right back to us.
That's very true.
And that really helps us inform everything we're doing. If you're on the phone and you'd like to ask a question, please press *6 to unmute your line and ask a question. Another Facebook question, Dion, is tell us again when the next application period opens up.
So again, we just had an application deadline in August, and so we'll be in that review process now, and more than likely the next one will happen in early 2017, probably February. Those decisions haven't been finalized.
Sure. Well, thank you.
So.
Again, if you are on the line and you would like to ask a question, please press *6. You have Dion Cartwright, BCF Program Officer, right on the line and live. Now is a great time to ask questions about the Youth Leadership for Change grant. Mm-hmm. Here's your opportunity.
I'll use this as a moment to also shout out again the Annie Casey Foundation and the support that they've provided through this program, not only financial support, but the support of their staff and really helping us to get the word out about this great opportunity.
Yeah, it's terrific. So on when these grants are reviewed, who's the toughest audience around that table?
The young people.
Why is that?
They just have a critical eye. Oftentimes the youth who are around the table are youth that are already engaged in community in some way. And so they understand what can be done with a small amount of money. And so they are very critical about, and not just the youth, but also the next layer would be the community leaders. They are very well aware of what it takes to do community engagement and community projects, and so they are very vocal in the review process about what they think is possible or not possible.
Mm-hmm. Dion, you've been here for 15 years. Mm-hmm. You've made hundreds, thousands of grants to Baltimore City and Baltimore County through the Neighborhood Grants Program. Mm-hmm. You've invested in youth, seniors, neighborhood gardens, neighborhood signs, health fairs, just countless activities that bring people who look the same together. You brought people of different races and ages and ethnic groups together. Mm-hmm. Are there any grants or programs that really stand out that really define what it means to invest in Baltimore to you?
Wow. So to my grantees, I do not have favorites. I think that's important to note. Man, we've just done some really, really great projects throughout the city, and I love driving through communities and seeing all of the great work that community leaders are doing in the neighborhoods. I think anything that addresses food access is one of my favorites. I'd say the White Lock Community Farm in Reservoir Hill, for example. But also Duncan Street Garden, where, again, you're talking about food deserts. I believe the number is like 1 in 4 young people live in a food desert. And so any opportunity to invest in a community garden where residents can learn about not only planting their own fruits and vegetables, but just having access to fresh foods and not having to necessarily eat from a corner store. Mm-hmm. It's just that's an impact that we will have beyond the now, and it will be something that influences community for many years to come.
Great. Well, it looks like we are coming up to. I think we're past our 20 minutes.
We are.
I'm sorry about that. So we're past our 20 minutes, which means this 20-minute update is sadly coming to an end. I really want to thank Dion Cartwright so much for joining us this morning, and thank all of our Civic Leadership Fund donors for making all of this possible. Really want to thank everybody on the phones today for joining us and for taking the time to learn about the Youth Leadership for Change program. And we'll be back next month, Thursday, October 20th at 9 a.m. for the next call. Thank all of our friends on Facebook watching on the live stream. We'll be back with you again next month, same time. Please visit us at bcf.org, and also watch for BCF Connect. BCF Connect is when folks like Dion and our program staff go out to community libraries and other spaces in Baltimore City and Baltimore County and have a place to interact and talk with the folks about what BCF is doing in the community. It's a great opportunity to talk with us live one-on-one, and we hope you can join us then. Thank you so much, and have a really great day. Appreciate it.
Goodbye.